We're back here at the Steinway & Sons Piano Gallery with Wisconsin Family, and I'm really excited because we've got a topic that I don't believe we've covered yet since we've started filming here at Steinway & Sons, and we're joined now by owner Ben Garber. How are you, Ben?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having us here again today. Sure. So I'm really excited because we're talking about piano restoring or restoration.
Yep.
So, two questions. First of all, what does it mean if someone says that a piano has been refurbished, rebuilt, or restored? And is there a difference between all three of those terms?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think that there's any standardization for these words. People will always throw them around, right?
Sure.
I had my piano redone, restored, refurbished is a real popular one. I don't think that they have any meaning unless you've really gone over every part of the piano to determine what's been done, what maybe needs to still be done. Restoration should imply that the complete piano was brought to its original factory condition.
Sure.
In some cases, this is impossible, and in a lot of cases, people will say something's restored and it really hasn't been. It's really more of a aftermarket
It's
job.
been made better.
I guess.
As good as it can be.
Maybe. It depends on the case. Yeah.
Right. Interesting stuff.
For example, soundboards are a popular issue. And there are people that maybe have a little warehouse or a workshop, and they'll say, well, you know, we put new soundboards in pianos. It turns out that's a very hard thing to do. Steinway has an entire floor of their factory dedicated to soundboard installation, and it takes months to do it properly, and the materials are very expensive. It's so specified in terms of how you put a soundboard in a Steinway piano that they won't sell the part to anyone anymore because the part in and of itself doesn't mean anything.
Right.
So when a guy cuts out the soundboard and drops in whatever, it's kind of like putting a Fiat engine in a Porsche, or it's just it kind of takes that whole instrument and devalues it.
Right, absolutely. And when we talk about soundboards, I mean, obviously, this is probably the most important part of the piano, really, because you don't have the resonance without the soundboard. So if something goes wrong with the soundboard, is it better to replace? I mean, or repair? I mean, is it better to repair?
Yeah, it depends on the circumstances, and this is where you need to have the piano checked out carefully. If it's a small issue, a small crack or something, it can be repaired. And then again, if it has huge issues or problems and it doesn't have what we call any resonance anymore, then replacement. But really the only way to do a new soundboard in a Steinway is to send it back to New York and have it done in the factory, which we can do.
Wow.
So speaking of that, what do you do here in the store? Obviously, we know you sell pianos, you have lessons, and so much of that. But what about the restoration or rebuilding or repairing?
Yeah, we do all different jobs for piano repair and restoration. It can be as major as sending the piano back to New York and have it completely restored to original, new condition. Or it could be just a small repair, like something as small as new hammers or key recovering. That's a popular one. The keys get all cracked and people would like to have them recovered. So it's really customized based on the needs of every customer, but we do all of it.
And you're the one that would do the assessment. So if someone had maybe an emotional attachment, maybe it's an heirloom or a hand-me-down or whatever it is, you would come and make that assessment of this could be restored, it's worth restoring.
Yep, we go through all of those steps and what it costs and what it needs. And there are times when it could be the value of the piano may be lower than the cost of restoration, and so we let people know that too.
How interesting.
Absolutely. And when you are examining a piano, how do you know exactly, how can you tell exactly what it needs to be fully restored, and how can you tell if a piano is not worth restoring?
Yeah, well, a lot of it comes from experience and taking measurements on certain parts. And then of course we have data for values of pianos, but you really have to do that appraisal to find out what's going on underneath the scenes. Last time you were here, we were looking at a piano that actually had been sort of nominally redone, not very well by someone, and I think I played a little bit on it. This time I have a piano for you here that's been expertly restored, so it's actually a completely redone instrument. You wouldn't know it by just looking at it. You really have to get under the hood to find out.
Really? Okay.
So you do have a toolbox full of fancy tools to make all those measurements, but can you tell just by playing a piano, what's been done to it, if it's been worked on?
You really can't just by playing. I know a lot of people play and they say, well, this one feels good, this one sounds good, and that's a a fair assessment just for the player to make, but it doesn't tell you anything about what's happening in the pin block underneath the plate, or if the soundboard has full resonance. Those are things that we have to measure separately.
So you really do need the fancy tools.
Yeah. It doesn't tell you what kind of parts were used either, and that can have a lot to do with value of an instrument. So value and longevity are not accessible just by sitting down and playing.
So, how old is this piano that we're looking at?
This is a 1903 Steinway,
What?
believe it or not. Yeah, right. This is 114 years, 15 years old.
It looks amazing, and
it's like new now.
Yeah,
it is.
yeah. So what's been replaced? I mean, can you tell us what's been replaced on this this instrument?
So all of the parts have been replaced, and because it's a Steinway, we still have factory parts being made today. So that's an easy thing to do. So we use all Steinway parts. That's something to watch out for, because a lot of people will drop aftermarket parts into a piano.
Right.
They're cheaper.
Right.
The soundboard was replaced on this piano because 1903 is a long time.
Yes.
All new strings, new pin blocks. So this is really, and refinished, top to bottom, really everything's been restored.
So basically the shell is all that remains from the original.
Yeah, the plate, the mostly the big wood parts.
Sure.
But it'll last another 100 years now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you talked about using aftermarket parts and how you want to try to avoid that if possible. And that's sometimes a cheaper alternative, but not necessarily a good idea. What are the best parts to use when restoring a Steinway piano?
Steinway parts are amazing. They're made of the highest grade wood, hard rock maple. They last as long as action parts can last, and they perform better than any other in the industry. So, you know, we always use Steinway parts in the Steinway piano.
Now, Ben, we've gotten to know you over the past few visits, but some of our viewers may not know your history, your background, your education when it comes to playing, performing, teaching, and repairing. What is your repairing qualification?
Yeah, I studied this in master's at Rice University, so I got a degree in that part. I have a performance degree and also sort of a tuning, rebuilding, piano tech degree.
Piano tech degree. The guy does it all.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So this was what we did in the school. We had to take pianos and fix them up, and that was, you know, part of our project.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah. So you had to do kind of like a final project. They'd bring you a piano, and that
they
was.
did. Yeah.
How long did that take you? I mean, were you working alone on that?
Yeah, working alone. It takes, you know, 60 to 100 hours to sort of put a whole new action in a piano, let's say.
Wow.
And then from there, of course, you know, any degree just takes you to the next place. So then I started working for a Steinway dealer in Houston, and we did the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. Well, this is the piano man here. Teacher, performer, educator, and technician as well. You do it all.
Thank you.
And well.
Yep, and well. Yes, thanks for having us here. And thank you to all of our viewers. We're out of time today. We're Wisconsin family, and we'll see you next time.
The beat, clap your hands, let's take